So good evening students. So this is Vipin Chandra Sharma, and this is an academy. Classes are going on, and today I will take a very important session about the current events, and let me tell you something more about the Unacademy is the largest online platform in the world, and therefore you must take advantage of this. And if you can get 10% off if you have this code VCS10. I was also an IAS officer, and so I am also taking classes in the morning as well as in the evening. So this is everybody should and now let me go to the current issues now today. As you know, if you see the today's paper, the Hindustan Times, and we are talking about the editorials. One must always see the editorials in the paper. Hindustan Times, Times of India, and Indian Express, and Hindu is the most important. Hindu, if you can get the English paper, and from tomorrow I have ordered the Hindu paper also. And this RCEP reinforces China's edge in Asia. This is a good article by Viswajit Dhar, is a professor, Center for Economic Studies and Planning, JNU, Delhi. And so, of course, we did not join the RCEP, but we now should join other free trade agreements, for example, with USA and EU and the Trans-Pacific Partnership. And this article says why India was right in staying out of RCEP. So this regional comprehensive economic partnership, and it says about this China is still bullying its neighbor, although they have signed RCEP, but it is still bullying Vietnam, Singapore, Philippines, and even Australia. And then of course China has opened its trade, but India, for example, did not join because we were concerned about these inexpensive goods flooding our Indian market and destroying our manufacturing industry. So, and another good article is the renewable commitment to renewable energy. So this is a very important article here, and we are confident. Last week Prime Minister Narendra Modi reiterated that India is confident of having 175 gigawatt of renewable energy by 2022 and 450 gigawatt by 2030. So this, because of the climate and other issues, climate issues, and the Paris Agreement is of course the latest thing. The President, Trump, he did not want to be a part of the Paris Agreement in 2016. He pulled out, but now the new US President will join the Paris Agreement as promised by him on the day he assumes office. And therefore, this is a very important. All the students must, look up to the center page of. So this renewable energy is very important, and RCEP is very important. As you know, this Paris Agreement, because of the rise in temperature of the earth, because of the depletion of ozone layer in the upper reaches of earth atmosphere, and then because of the so much of fossil fuels we are burning, coal and wood, and therefore CO2 emission, water vapor, methane, and then carbon, fluorocarbons, CFCs, and then PFCs, and then SF6, and so many, and this greenhouse effect is there, and the temperature is rising. And suppose we are not able to control the temperature, and if rises suppose 3-4 degrees centigrade, then what will happen? And the whole of Arctic circle is melting. There used to be such big glaciers, and then these mountains of ice are melting and then dropping into the Arctic Ocean. And suppose the level of the seawater rises by 1 meter or 2 meter, it is already rising by 2 millimeter every year. But if the temperature goes up, then who can tell? And suppose the water is rising, what about these low-lying countries, Bangladesh, Philippines, and all these island nations? Already, so many Bangladeshis are in our country, and we are facing problems in the northeast region. And in 1971, lot of under the the then East Pakistan, the administration created so much of atrocities. At that time, lot of people came out, and then in 1980, so many people came to India. And so now, if entire Bangladesh is underwater, their entire population of 23 crores will come to India. And see, already we have so much of pressure. So this climate issues are very important, and there will be a question on let's say the Paris Agreement, or the climate issues, and what is the problem, how to address this problem. So you must have, and I in the morning I am taking classes of the current events, and then the evening I take economy classes. So kindly attend, because only a person who has got success, he was successful IAS, and therefore it is such a challenging job. And if you work properly, and if you work hard and plan your time, you will be a successful bureaucrat. And there is no job better than that of an IAS officer. It is so satisfying. You get so much of opportunities, so diverse. So this is and one more thing, a draconian step in Kerala. A recent measure undermines the free speech and violates Supreme Court jurisprudence. And Kerala has, enacted a law, but I was seeing later on some news that, they have decided to put the law on hold. So this is a good news. Public opinion is so much matters in India. And now if we take another news, for example, Automakers look to scale up PV exports with eyes on PLI SOPs. So now if you see, the government of India has given the largest corporate tax break in the history. And right now they have announced a production link incentive scheme, and 1,40,000 crores of tax break. So if for the existing industries, the corporate tax rate has come down, and from 30% to 22%, and for the new industries it has come down from 25 to 15%. So now there's a any lot of industries are trying to move out of China because of the backlash, COVID backlash against China, and because of its bullying approach towards its neighbor. And therefore India is a, if we adopt policies which our government is doing, we can beat the world and we can be a manufacturing capital of the world. And right now, so this production linked incentive soap is so for the industrial sector we have announced this PLI soap, and for the agriculture sector, recently our honorable Prime Minister, three bills have been introduced, and because now the agriculture sector, which is so important, 60% of our people, our employment depends on agriculture, and that was very weak link to our economy. And to revitalize agriculture sector, the farmers have been given freedom. They can you know have contract farming. They can sign contract with multinationals, exporters, manufacturing units, and of course the Akali Dal was not happy and they broke away with the government. But why? Because the states were getting, the APMCs, Agricultural Produce Marketing Committees, were getting 4,000 crores in Punjab, and then all their middlemen, which in Rajasthan we call them Aditya, and Aditya, they were making fat bucks at the expense of farmers. So this and then we have some items have been taken out of the essential commodities list, so that there is total freedom. And because now of course India is self-sufficient in food and we are exporters, so why this was Essential Commodities Act was enacted in the times of scarcity. And India can be a largest food supplying nation to the world. We are second highest in rice and wheat. And but our problem is that so much of waste goes there. We are not able to process fruits and vegetables. So much goes, about 10 billion, I was saying $10 billion of wastage, because we don't have a cold chain policy. So these are the basically headlines in the Hindustan Times today. And now there was these Nakshal issues is also very important, and that there was some of the areas in our country, 85 districts are affected by Naxal issues. And these left wing, as you are aware that this Naxal body and this People's War Group, this was founded by Charu Mazumdar, and this originated in a Naxal body village in West Bengal. And they don't want to be a part of the constitution. They don't want to they can stand for elections and come to power and then do as they wish, but that is not their policy. They don't want to they don't believe in the constitution, and they want in the destruction of the imperialism and the system we have. So we can't accept. We have to negotiate with them, and but we can't accept that the constitution we have given to ourselves, a very good constitution, and we have to discuss with them within the framework of the constitution. We cannot go outside the constitution. Therefore and this we have to crush Naxal issues with a heavy hand, if they do not agree on the negotiating table, because they sometimes they come for talks and they regroup. And so this news item about today, that some people were shot, and we have to be, our forces have to be on alert, and all these our brave people, paramilitary forces, they have to follow these standing operating procedures while dealing with sometimes when they are combing the forest. Sometimes it's, let's say, lunchtime, and they sit there, and then these Naxals are very organized. So at that time, when you are weak, then they hit at the time. So it is always, even if you are having lunch, you can't rest. Some people have to be always alert. So this is the situation now. Another thing is the pandemic, the management of the pandemic. And so there can be a question how to manage the pandemic, and whether we have managed the pandemic well or not. This is also an issue, and therefore this article is also an article by K. Sujata Rao in the Times of India today. And then there is call for solidarity. The G20 summit that was held, hosted by Saudi Arabia yesterday or day before yesterday. This was basically attended by the top 20 countries who are top 20 in the GDP ranking. So this is important, and our honorable Prime Minister Modi ji also addressed this. So we must have idea what is G20. And another thing is the new education policy. For example, a good article on this is the new education policy, and a breath of fresh air, and how it can be implemented. A good article by Mr. Manish Jain. So these are the important items that we have to open our education to the private sector. Greater overall investment is needed, and then the teacher preparation, and improve assessments and reduce take on examinations. Sometimes we have to give them real knowledge, just not just not consider the exam. Sometimes the students are very good, but they just in the exam time they get depressed. And this author is the chairman of FICCI, Arise, Alliance for Reimagining School Education. So this is a good article, and everybody. And now another article is about the NRC and CA and NPR issues. So this everybody should know. What is NRC? What is Citizen Amendment Bill? What is the National Population Register? And what is the National Register for Citizens? So this is also, and why people are unhappy in Assam because of CAA. Because this CAA, we allowed the minorities of Bangladesh and Pakistan, Afghanistan, who are being persecuted in those countries. We have allowed them easier method for citizenship. But in Assam, for example, there was on the Supreme Court order, this NRC was being prepared, and a lot of mistakes have been found out. And as per the Supreme Court order, some detention camps have also been built, and so these foreigners will be kept in there, and later on they will be ousted from our country. But the CAA, although it was properly, it was just to give benefit to some of these sections, but the parties made it a political issue, and there were agitations in the capital, in Shaheen Bagh, and there were some riots also. And so and in Assam they are agitating. It is not the basically their agitation is because if more of Bangladeshis come and settle in Assam, then their Assamese identity will be threatened. And already during the British time, this even the Bengali language was imposed them by the British government, and only after some missionaries they reached there, and then this Assam culture and language was protected. So Assamese are more worried about, it is not a question of Hindu Muslim, but more worried about the Assamese identity. So everybody should be aware of what are NRC, what is CA, and why we, let's say, we did not join the RCEP. Now, if you take another one lecture, another now this G20 summit I have already mentioned, and there is ocean warming, and this is a very important area, and of course there can be a question on climate change and how to stop ocean warming. Already half of the oxygen that we breathe is supplied by plants, and the other half is provided by our oceans, these microbes and plankton, and if we are over exploiting the ocean, and we are throwing so much of waste, plastic waste, chemicals, and because of the all these greenhouse effects, and after rains these rains they fall in the water bodies and even on oceans, and the ocean is getting acidic. All the water bodies are, so the pH is decreasing, and therefore what will happen to the future generations? That is also an issue, and we have to plan in such a way that that temperature of our planet does not rise to more than 2 degree centigrade, as we agreed in the Paris Agreement. And so now if we take the Indian Express, such a nice article about paying for the poison. The regime of subsidies is the main reason why there is trouble in the first place. Already we are talking about this stubble and parali and Delhi. So much of air is so polluted in Delhi. So much of parali is burning, and then the roads are not good, and the dust is distributed in the atmosphere, and then there are so many vehicles. Recently, last year they had this green even odd vehicle scheme that was good. So many vehicles in Delhi, and there is also transit traffic in Bombay and Chennai. It is only the traffic which goes there, but in Delhi it is all coming. And let's say if anybody from Punjab comes, then he has to cross Delhi if he has to go. So this transit traffic is there, and there is no, in some of the cities, for example in Mumbai there is sea breeze, or in Chennai, so the breeze can take away this polluted air, but in Delhi there is no such kind of thing. And lot of industries in western UP, so many industrial sectors in Delhi and in Punjab nearby, and with parali burning, and we have to do something about it, because as you are aware that in the presidential debate, when President Trump was discussing with Joe Biden, and then what he told, that China and India are so dirty. So this we have to, our close strategic partner called us dirty, but then we have to realize that what he told was truth. Our air is so polluted. In the rural areas, this Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, of course it was launched but we have not attained, 15 crores of toilets are needed in the rural areas, but we have not achieved even 10%. So this one, this is important, that our planning is so good, but our implementation is so bad. So this, unless we reform our put a house in order, and clean up our entire country, then only we can, the world will realize that we are, we have done something. Now this power in the air. This is also another article. Arjun Subramaniam, RAF has enhanced India's deterrent and coercive posture in Ladakh. So, so many these now Sukhois and MiG-29s, Rafales, C-17, C-130, Chinook and Apaches, they are, at Leh, and now Leh airport is one of the IAF's busiest airfield. So now with the India-China standoff, and every year they were coming, nibbling some of our land, but this present government is a rightist and ultra nationalist government, and they couldn't allow such a thing. Therefore, we stood up and looked them eye to eye, and although our 20 brave soldiers perished, but China also got a taste of our bravery, and what is the remedy? Because there can be a question in IAS that what is the remedy? What? So during the standoff, there was a proposal that this 1959 line that the Prime Minister in 1959, ex-Prime Minister Chow and Lai, he suggested that we keep Arunachal Pradesh and let them take some portion of the Ladakh and then settle the boundary question, because they are already in 2017 this Doklam standoff was there, and now we have again standoff, and in future also. So we have to solve this problem so that there is no so much of our resources will go to defense, and so less allocation will be available for our development. So this is also an issue. And now another issue is recent issue is the Article 370 of the Constitution, and you must have seen how these Pakistani this establishment ISI, and they infiltrated these people through these tunnels. They built a underground tunnel 150 meters in length and 20 feet depth, at the depth of 20 feet, and now they fortunately our security forces are so careful, and at 5 a.m. when we did Naka Bandi, and the SSP of Jammu, Mr. Patil, although he was injured slightly, but see what a service he has done. And these now we are doing the right thing. The elections are Jilla Panchayat elections are being organized, and in Kashmir, for example, the ruling family is Mehbooba's family and this Farooq Abdullah, and they have not allowed these development benefits to go down to the poor people. They themselves were so corrupt, and so now with the directly money is going to the Zilla Parishad and local bodies, and the state government will be bypassed, so that the money directly reaches the people. And so this is also an important Article 370 of the Constitution. There can be a question in IAS that whether the abolition of Article 370 was constitutional, and what is your opinion on that? So all the students can write that Article 370 of the Constitution was itself, it was a temporary measure. It was written in the Constitution as a temporary measure, and therefore temporary means 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20, already 70 years have elapsed. And there is only one catch, that because it was recommended by the governor and it was not recommended by the Legislative Assembly, so the Supreme Court is reviewing it. But there is also an issue that the Constituent Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir, which was formed at the time of independence and which had approved 370, now this Constitutional Assembly got disbanded, and so all those people in 1956, they are almost not existence. They have all died. So now Constitution Assembly cannot be recreated. So can you create, make people come out of graves and be live. So that is impossible. And so therefore, when there is no assembly, and therefore governor has the power. So this is also a slight issue which Supreme Court will look at it. And but of course, as you know, they see the practicality of things, because the separatist ideas, so many people, 25 crores of Muslims, they stay peacefully in our country, and but only these 5 lakh people in the 3-4 districts who are have this separatist ideology, and they are being fed from Pakistan. They are now this Hawala, and now we have found out that this national investigating agencies, they were getting money from abroad, and all the children were throwing stones by getting funds from across the border. And when we demonetize the system, how this pelting has stopped. So this is the so let me come once again, and so this was a good so now this was every morning I will take classes at 10:30 to 11. Today there was some technical hitch, and therefore this was postponed till the evening. So kindly join me, and kindly join Unacademy, and use the code VCS10 for discount. And Unacademy is the largest online platform in the country, and therefore you have to so many experts are there, specialized experts, so many IAS officers, so many subject matter specialists, and therefore kindly join, and have a good day and good night. Thank you.